The day the sky turned purple, everyone knew something was wrong. It wasn't the soft lavender of a sunset or the deep violet of a storm. No, this was an alien, unsettling shade that made people's eyes hurt. Jane Smith, a regular office worker in New York, looked up from her computer and gasped. Her coworkers were already crowding around the windows, pointing and whispering. In London, Tokyo, Moscow, and every city around the world, the same scene played out. Humanity collectively held its breath, waiting for what would come next. They didn't have to wait long. As the purple deepened, enormous ships appeared in the sky. They were nothing like the flying saucers from old movies. These ships were like floating cities, all sharp angles and gleaming metal. They hovered silently over every major city on Earth. World leaders scrambled to respond. Military jets took to the skies, but kept their distance. News channels went into overdrive, their anchors trying to keep calm as they reported on the unprecedented event. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the ships opened. But instead of an invasion force, a single figure emerged from each one. They floated down to Earth, landing in front of government buildings and landmarks. The aliens, if that's what they were, looked almost human. They were tall and thin, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their eyes were too large, their fingers too long. They wore no spacesuits, breathing Earth's air as if it were their own. In Washington, D.C., President Laura Chen stood on the White House lawn, surrounded by Secret Service agents. Her heart raced, but she kept her face calm. The fate of humanity might rest on what happened in the next few minutes. The alien approached her, its movements graceful and strange. When it spoke, its voice was like music, but the words were clear English. "We bring a message from the Galactic Empire," it said. "A warning for humanity." President Chen swallowed hard. "We're listening," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "The warning is simple," it said. "Stay away from Earth." Confusion rippled through the crowd. Reporters shouted questions, but the alien ignored them. It focused solely on President Chen. "I don't understand," she said. "We are from Earth. This is our home." The alien tilted its head, a gesture that seemed almost sad. "That is all we can say. Stay away from Earth. Heed this warning, or face the consequences." With that, it rose into the air, floating back to its ship. All around the world, the same scene played out. The aliens delivered their cryptic message and left, their massive ships vanishing as quickly as they had appeared. The purple sky faded back to blue. In the days that followed, chaos reigned. Governments held emergency meetings. Scientists argued theories. Religious leaders claimed it was the end times. Ordinary people stockpiled food and water, unsure of what to do. Dr. Emily Sato, a leading astrophysicist, appeared on news channels around the clock. "We need to understand what they meant," she insisted. "Is there something on Earth we don't know about? Are we in danger from our own planet?" Meanwhile, fringe groups gained popularity. Some claimed the aliens were saviors, warning us of a coming disaster. Others insisted it was all a hoax, a government conspiracy. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with people demanding answers no one had. In space agencies around the world, a new urgency took hold. If Earth wasn't safe, where could humanity go? Plans for Mars colonies, once seen as distant dreams, now became top priority. The Moon, largely ignored since the 1970s, was suddenly the focus of intense interest. Private space companies saw their stocks soar. Elon Musk, always vocal on social media, tweeted, "Mars looking pretty good right now. Who's ready for a one-way trip?" But not everyone was eager to leave. Many felt a fierce protectiveness towards Earth. "This is our home," they argued. "We can't just abandon it because of some vague warning." As weeks passed with no further contact from the Galactic Empire, tensions rose. Every unusual weather event, every earthquake or volcanic eruption, sparked panic. People looked at their world with new eyes, wondering what secrets it might hold. In a small lab in Geneva, a team of scientists made a startling discovery. Deep in Earth's crust, they found traces of an element never seen before. It defied the laws of physics as they knew them. Could this be what the aliens were warning about? As news of the discovery spread, the world held its breath once again. Humanity stood at a crossroads, faced with an impossible choice: stay on the only home they'd ever known, or venture into the unknown depths of space. The Galactic Empire's warning echoed in everyone's minds. Stay away from Earth. But the question remained: why? And more importantly, would humanity listen? 6 months after the aliens' warning, Earth was a planet divided. Some people clung desperately to their homes, while others raced to leave. The choice was tearing families and nations apart. In Houston, Texas, astronaut Mike Chen, no relation to the president, hugged his wife and children goodbye. "I have to go," he said, his voice breaking. "Someone needs to make sure it's safe up there." Mike was part of the first long-term mission to Mars. As he boarded the sleek new spacecraft, crowds cheered and cried. For them, Mike and his team were heroes, the first to heed the alien warning. But not everyone saw it that way. In New York, Sarah Jones led a protest against the Mars mission. "We can't abandon Earth," she shouted to the crowd. "This is our home. We need to protect it, not run away." The world's governments were caught in the middle. They poured money into space programs, but also into Earth-based research. No one knew which path was right, so they tried both. On the Moon, the first permanent base was taking shape. Huge domes of glass and steel rose from the gray dust. Inside, scientists and engineers worked day and night to build a new home for humanity. Dr. Emily Sato, the astrophysicist who had been all over the news, was now on the Moon. She stood at a window, looking back at Earth. "It's so beautiful," she whispered. "How can we leave it behind?" But Emily wasn't just admiring the view. She and her team were studying Earth from afar, trying to uncover its secrets. The strange element found in the crust was just the beginning. Every day brought new mysteries. Back on Earth, cities were changing. Some people built underground bunkers, believing the surface might soon be unsafe. Others constructed tall towers, hoping to get as far from the ground as possible. In the oceans, vast floating cities were taking shape. Thousands of people moved to these new seasteads, believing the water might protect them from whatever threat the Earth held. Young people were affected most of all. Schools now taught space survival alongside math and history. Children played games about colonizing new planets. Many dreamed of becoming astronauts, seeing it as the only safe future. But there were problems with the exodus. Space travel was expensive. Only the rich could afford tickets to the Moon or Mars. This led to riots in many cities, with poor people demanding equal access to safety. Governments tried to solve this with lotteries. Every month, a few lucky people won the chance to leave Earth. It was reality TV meets survival, and everyone was hooked. Meanwhile, the first Mars settlers were facing harsh realities. The red planet was brutal and unforgiving. Mark Chen sent back video diaries, his face gaunt and tired. "It's hard here," he admitted, "but we're making progress. We have to." On Earth, the woman who had led protests against leaving, Sarah Jones, made a surprising move. She signed up for the Mars lottery. "I still believe in Earth," she told reporters, "but I need to understand why people are leaving. The only way to do that is to join them." As Sarah waited to see if she'd win the lottery, more strange things were happening on Earth. The northern lights were seen at the equator. Compasses stopped pointing north. It was as if the planet itself was changing. Dr. Emily Sato called an urgent press conference from the moon base. Her face was grave on the video screens. "We've discovered something," she said. "The Earth's core, it's not what we thought. It's alive." The news sent shockwaves around the world. People didn't know whether to be amazed or terrified. Was this what the aliens had warned about? As humanity grappled with this revelation, a new message arrived. The alien ships returned, appearing suddenly just as before. This time, they had more to say. Their words were broadcast to every screen on Earth and beyond. You have not heeded our warning. Now, you must face the awakening. On every planet and moon where humans had settled, people held their breath. The Earth, their precious home, was about to reveal its true nature. And no one, not the smartest scientist or the bravest astronaut, knew what would happen next. The exodus had begun, but it seemed the real adventure was just starting. Humanity's greatest challenge wasn't in the stars, but right beneath their feet. The world held its breath as Dr. Sarah Chen stepped into the deepest hole ever dug on Earth. She was about to make history, or possibly end it. "Be careful, Sarah," crackled the voice of her colleague, Dr. Rajesh Patel, through her earpiece. He was monitoring her descent from the surface, his fingers hovering nervously over the emergency recall button. Sarah's heartbeat echoed in her ears as she descended further into the Earth's crust. The walls around her glowed with an eerie, pulsating light. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Suddenly, her foot touched something solid. She had reached the bottom. "I'm here," she whispered, her voice filled with awe and fear. What Sarah saw next would change everything. In the center of the cavern stood a massive structure, clearly not natural. It was made of a material that seemed to shift and change as she looked at it. Symbols covered its surface, glowing with an inner light. "Rajesh, are you seeing this?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," came the stunned reply. It's impossible. That shouldn't be there." As Sarah approached the structure, the symbols began to move. They rearranged themselves before her eyes, forming words in English. "Prison Control Center." Miles above, in cities around the world, the ground began to tremble. People ran into the streets, looking up at the sky in fear. Was this the awakening the aliens had warned about? On the moon base, alarms blared. Dr. Emily Sato rushed to the observation deck. What she saw made her blood run cold. Earth, the beautiful blue marble, was changing color. Streaks of red and gold raced across its surface. "It's happening," Emily whispered. She grabbed the comm link. "Alert all stations. Earth is transforming." Back in the depths of the Earth, Sarah stood frozen before the alien structure. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was a prison, and humanity. Humanity were the unwitting guards. As this realization sank in, the structure before her hummed to life. A holographic display appeared, showing countless pods buried deep within the Earth. Each pod contained a being, alien and ancient beyond imagination. "Oh my God," Sarah breathed. "They're waking up." On Mars, the first colonists watched in horror as Earth, their former home, seemed to come alive. The planet's surface rippled like water, mountains rising and falling like waves. Astronaut Mike Chen, his face gaunt from months on the red planet, made a decision. "We're going back," he announced to his stunned crew. "Earth needs us now more than ever." As the Mars mission prepared for an emergency return, chaos erupted on Earth's surface. The ground split open in places, revealing glimpses of the incredible technology hidden beneath. In others, strange creatures emerged, blinking in confusion at the world they had been hidden from for so long. Governments worldwide declared a state of emergency. Military forces were mobilized, but against what? How do you fight a planet? In New York, Sarah Jones, who had once protested leaving Earth, now found herself leading a group of survivors. "We need to stay calm," she shouted over the panic. "We've lived here our whole lives. This is still our home." But even as she spoke, the sky above turned a deep, angry red. The air crackled with energy, and everyone could feel it. The Earth was alive, and it was angry. Dr. Rajesh Patel, still at the surface of the dig site, made a startling discovery. The strange element they had found months ago was spreading, changing everything it touched. Plants grew to enormous sizes, animals developed new abilities, and humans were changing too. Some people began to show signs of extraordinary abilities. They could move objects with their minds, heal with a touch, or see glimpses of the future. It was as if the Earth's awakening had triggered something dormant within humanity. As the world descended into chaos, a new message arrived from space. The Galactic Empire ships reappeared, but this time they weren't alone. A massive fleet darkened the skies, dwarfing even the Empire's impressive armada. A booming voice echoed across the planet. "We are the Guardians. We imprisoned the Old Ones on this world eons ago. Humans were meant to keep them dormant. You have failed. We have come to clean up the mess." On every screen, on every planet where humans had fled, the message was clear. Earth's secret was out, and the galaxy was coming to deal with it. Sarah Chen, still deep within the Earth, placed her hand on the alien structure. To her surprise, it responded to her touch. She realized then that humanity's role wasn't over. It was just beginning. "We're not running away," she said, her voice firm. "This is our home, and we'll fight for it." As the Guardian ships entered Earth's atmosphere, humanity faced its greatest challenge: the battle for Earth. And the truth about the sky burned with unnatural fire as the Guardian ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Sarah Chen, her hand still on the alien control panel deep within the Earth, felt a surge of power course through her body. Suddenly, she understood. "We're not just guards," she whispered. "We're the key." Miles above, in the streets of Tokyo, a young girl named Akira watched in awe as her hands began to glow. All around her, other people were changing too. Some grew taller, others seemed to fade in and out of sight. The awakening of Earth had triggered something in humanity's DNA. In New York, Sarah Jones led her group of survivors towards Central Park. As they ran, she noticed she could sense danger before it happened. "Left," she shouted, pulling people away just as a building collapsed where they had been standing. The Guardian ships hovered over major cities, their weapons primed. But before they could fire, the Earth itself responded. Mountains rose up, oceans surged, and the very air seemed to come alive with swirling patterns of energy. On the moon base, Dr. Emily Sato watched in disbelief. "It's not just Earth," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "It's the whole solar system." Indeed, other planets were showing signs of change. Mars' red surface began to shimmer with patches of green. The storms on Jupiter swirled faster, forming impossible shapes. Back on Earth, the ancient beings, the Old Ones, were fully awake. They rose from their underground prisons, towering figures of light and shadow. But instead of attacking, they seemed confused, lost in a world they no longer recognized. One of them, a being of pure energy, approached a group of terrified humans in what used to be London. It reached out, not to harm, but in a gesture that seemed almost apologetic. Dr. Rajesh Patel, who had been monitoring Sarah Chen's descent, suddenly found he could understand the Old One's thoughts. They didn't mean to be imprisoned here," he said, his voice shaking. "They were explorers, like us. The Guardians feared their power and locked them away." As this revelation spread, humans around the world began to see the Old Ones in a new light. These weren't monsters to be feared, but victims of an ancient injustice. In orbit, astronaut Mike Chen and his Mars crew had just arrived in their hastily prepared ship. As they approached Earth, they saw the Guardians' fleet preparing to attack. Without hesitation, Mike fired up the engines. "We didn't come all this way to watch our home be destroyed," he said grimly. The small human ship darted between the massive Guardian vessels, drawing their fire. It was a suicidal move, but it bought Earth precious time. On the surface, Sarah Chen had managed to fully activate the control center. She felt the power of the Earth flowing through her, connecting her to every human, every Old One, and to the planet itself. With a thought, she raised a shield around the Earth, deflecting the Guardians' first attack. But the strain was enormous. "I can't hold it alone," Sarah gasped. Then she felt it. Countless minds linking with hers. Humans around the world, their newfound abilities awakening, were joining their power to hers. Even the old ones lent their strength. In New York, Sarah Jones raised her hands to the sky, channeling energy she didn't understand but somehow knew how to use. In Tokyo, young Akira's glow spread to those around her, linking them to the global network. On the moon, Emily Seto found she could direct the moon's gravitational pull, subtly altering the course of the Guardian ships. The Guardians, faced with this unprecedented unity, hesitated. Their weapons, designed to subdue planets, were useless against this combination of human will, Old One power, and planetary defense. From the depths of space, the Galactic Empire watched in astonishment. What they had intended as a warning had instead triggered a transformation beyond anything they had imagined. As the shield around Earth glowed brighter, a message boomed across the cosmos, spoken in countless voices as one. Earth is not your prison, nor your battlefield. It is our home, and we will defend it. We are human, we are Old One, we are Earth itself, and we are awake. The Guardian ships began to retreat, their mission an impossible failure. As they fled, Earth continued to change, its continents shifting into new forms, its people evolving with every passing moment. The battle was over, but Earth's journey was just beginning. Humanity, once unwitting guards, were now partners with the Old Ones and their living planet. Together, they looked to the stars not with fear, but with a new sense of wonder and possibility. The Galactic Empire's warning had been heeded, but not in the way anyone expected. Earth wasn't a place to stay away from. It was a beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. 5 years had passed since the day Earth awoke. The planet was unrecognizable now, a swirling mix of old and new, human and alien. Cities floated in the sky, forests grew in deserts, and the oceans glowed with bioluminescent life. In what was once New York, now a sprawling garden city, Sarah Jones stood atop a living skyscraper made of intertwined trees and crystal. Her ability to sense danger had grown into something more. She could now see possible futures branching out before her like paths in a forest. "They're coming back," she said, her eyes focused on something no one else could see. Across the globe, in the heart of the Sahara, now a lush jungle, Dr. Rajesh Patel received her message. His mind, linked to the planetary network, reached out to alert the others. In seconds, every human and Old One on Earth knew. The Galactic Empire was returning. High above the Earth, on a space station that served as humanity's first galactic port, astronaut Mike Chen prepared his ship for launch. The station buzzed with activity as other pilots rushed to their vessels. This time, Earth would meet its visitors halfway. Deep within the planet's core, Dr. Sarah Chen sat in meditation. The control center had become a part of her, its alien technology fused with her human biology. She opened her eyes, glowing with inner light. "It's time," she said to no one and everyone. In response, the Earth itself began to move. Continents shifted, but gently this time, forming a new configuration. From space, it looked as if the planet was opening like a flower. The first of the Empire's ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. But instead of the massive warships they had sent before, these were sleeker, built for diplomacy rather than destruction. Leading them was a vessel of stunning design, a blend of technology beyond human understanding. As Earth's defense fleet approached, a message beamed across space. "We come in peace, seeking understanding." Mike Chen's voice crackled over the comms to his fellow pilots. "Remember the plan. We're not here to fight. We're here to show them who we've become." The human ships took formation around the Empire's fleet, not threatening, but proud and unafraid. As they escorted the visitors towards Earth, the planet put on a display like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Aurora-like lights danced across the atmosphere, painting the sky in impossible colors. The continents, now arranged in a spiral pattern, began to glow with intricate patterns of energy. And rising from the surface were the Old Ones, no longer fearsome giants but beings of pure light and wisdom. On the Empire's lead ship, The Galactic Emperor himself stood in awe. "We came to warn them," he whispered to his advisor. "But it seems they have surpassed even our wildest expectations." As the ships entered Earth's orbit, they were met by a delegation like no other. Humans with extraordinary abilities flew alongside their ships. Old Ones, now peaceful and wise, sent welcoming thoughts directly into the minds of the Empire's crew. And there, at the front, was a being that was neither human nor Old One, but somehow both. It was Sarah Chen, her body now a perfect blend of human and Earth's alien technology. She spoke, her voice carrying easily through the vacuum of space. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We have heeded your warning, but not in the way you expected. We have not stayed away from Earth. We have become one with it." The Emperor, moved by the display and Sarah's words, made an unprecedented decision. He would land on Earth, the first of his kind to set foot on this transformed world. As his ship descended, escorted by human pilots and Old Ones, the Emperor saw the true extent of Earth's transformation. Cities that blended seamlessly with nature, technology that seemed to live and breathe, and beings of every description living in harmony. When he stepped onto Earth's soil, he felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was as if the planet itself was welcoming him, acknowledging him as a guest rather than an invader. Sarah Jones, Rajesh Patel, Mike Chen, and Sarah Chen stood together to greet him. Behind them stretched a crowd of humans, Old Ones, and beings that were something in between. All watched in anticipation, ready to show the Empire that Earth was no longer a prison or a threat. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of what was possible when different species came together. As the Emperor looked out at the crowd, he realized that his empire had much to learn from this tiny blue planet that had once seemed so insignificant. The warning to stay away from Earth had led to the greatest discovery in galactic history. Earth wasn't a place to fear. It was a place that would change the universe forever. The Galactic Emperor's visit to Earth marked the beginning of a new era. As weeks turned into months, Earth became the center of attention for the entire galaxy. Alien diplomats, scientists, and curious travelers flocked to the once forbidden planet, eager to witness its marvels firsthand. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, now a shimmering wonderland of bioluminescent plants and floating islands, a grand council was held. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy gathered to discuss Earth's role in the cosmic community. Dr. Sarah Chen, her body glowing with the power of Earth's core, addressed the assembly. For too long, Earth was seen as a prison, a place to be feared. Now we offer it as a school, a place to learn and grow. The idea was revolutionary. Earth, with its unique blend of human ingenuity, Old One wisdom, and planetary consciousness, would become a universal center of learning. The Galactic University of Earth was born. Across the planet, preparations began. In the Himalayas, now twice as tall and wreathed in clouds that formed impossible shapes, Old Ones carved lecture halls into the mountains themselves. These halls could shift and change, adapting to the needs of any species that came to learn. Under the Pacific Ocean, a network of transparent domes sprouted, creating an underwater campus where aquatic species could study comfortably. Sarah Jones, her precognitive abilities now finely tuned, oversaw the construction, ensuring each building was perfectly placed to avoid future natural disasters. In orbit, astronaut Mike Chen supervised the expansion of Earth's space stations. These would serve as arrival points for students from across the galaxy, as well as research centers for cosmic studies. The stations were marvels of engineering, blending human, Old One, and various alien technologies. But not everyone in the galaxy was pleased with Earth's new status. A group of hardliners within the Galactic Empire, led by Admiral Zorn, saw Earth as a threat. They remembered the planet's fearsome reputation and couldn't accept its transformation. As the day of the Galactic University's grand opening approached, Admiral Zorn put his plan into action. A fleet of stealth ships, hidden from even Earth's advanced sensors, approached the solar system. However, they hadn't accounted for the unique abilities Earth had developed. Deep in her meditation chamber, Dr. Sarah Chen felt a disturbance in the planet's energy field. At the same moment, Sarah Jones had a vision of impending danger. The warning spread instantly through Earth's global network. Within minutes, the planet's defenses were ready. But these were unlike any defenses the galaxy had seen before. As Admiral Zorn's fleet entered the solar system, they were met not by warships, but by a dazzling display of light and energy. The very fabric of space seemed to warp around them, disorienting their sensors and scrambling their communications. From Earth, a beam of pure thought energy lanced out, touching each ship in the fleet. The crews found themselves experiencing visions of peace, understanding, and the true nature of Earth's transformation. Many of the attacking ships stood down immediately, their crews overcome by the beauty and wisdom they had witnessed. Admiral Zorn, however, pushed on, his flagship charging towards Earth. As the ship entered the atmosphere, something remarkable happened. The air itself seemed to come alive, forming a cocoon around the vessel. It gently slowed the ship's descent, guiding it to a landing in the center of the Galactic University's main campus. When the ship's doors opened, Admiral Zorn stepped out, expecting to be arrested or worse. Instead, he found himself surrounded by a welcoming committee of humans, old ones, and aliens from across the galaxy. Dr. Rajesh Patel stepped forward, extending a hand in greeting. "Welcome, Admiral," he said warmly. "We've been expecting you. Your class is about to begin." Confused but curiosity piqued, Admiral Zorn allowed himself to be led into a grand lecture hall. There, he saw beings from species that had been at war for millennia sitting side by side, learning and growing together. As the lesson unfolded, exploring the history of the galaxy and the nature of conflict and peace, Admiral Zorn felt something change within him. The fear and suspicion that had driven him to attack melted away, replaced by a sense of wonder and possibility. By the end of the day, the Admiral had become Earth's most enthusiastic advocate, vowing to spread the word of its transformation throughout the galaxy. As night fell on the first day of classes at the Galactic University of Earth, the planet glowed with the light of 1 billion minds, learning, growing, and coming together in harmony. The Galactic Empire's warning to stay away had led to the creation of a beacon of hope and unity for the entire universe. Earth, once a cosmic backwater, had become the heart of a new, galactic age of peace and understanding. A century had passed since the Galactic University of Earth opened its doors to the cosmos. The planet, once a cosmic footnote, had become the shining jewel of the galaxy. But as with all great changes, new challenges arose. On a crisp autumn morning, Dr. Leela Chen, great-granddaughter of Sarah Chen, stood before the World Council. Her eyes, glowing with the same inner light as her ancestors, swept across the assembled representatives of Earth and 100 alien worlds. "We've achieved so much," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the Grand Hall. "But we've grown complacent. The galaxy is changing, and we must change with it." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Change. Hadn't they changed enough? But Leela wasn't finished. A new threat looms on the edge of known space. Not an enemy we can fight, but a challenge to everything we've built. She waved her hand, and a hologram appeared above the council chamber. It showed a massive void in space, a region where stars simply ceased to exist. "The Great Darkness," Leela explained. "It's expanding, consuming entire solar systems. Our scientists believe it's a natural phenomenon, but one that could eventually engulf the entire galaxy." The chamber erupted in panic. Alien diplomats chattered in a dozen languages, their fear palpable. Humans and old ones alike looked to each other in confusion and worry. Amidst the chaos, a calm voice cut through. "Then we must face it together." All eyes turned to the speaker. It was Admiral Zorn, now ancient, but still commanding respect. The former enemy of Earth had become one of its greatest champions over the decades. Earth taught us that the greatest challenges can lead to the greatest transformations. Zorn continued. We must not run from this darkness. We must understand it, and perhaps change it as Earth was changed. His words sparked a fire in the assembly. Ideas began to flow. The aquatic delegation proposed using their deep-sea adaptation techniques to create ships that could withstand the pressure of the dark zone. The old ones offered their ancient knowledge of cosmic energies, suggesting ways to possibly communicate with the darkness itself. Human scientists, led by Dr. Rajesh Patel's grandson, Vikram, proposed a daring plan to seed the void with a new form of life, one that could thrive in the absence of stars. As the council debated, high above the Earth, something remarkable was happening. The space stations that ringed the planet began to move of their own accord. They shifted and combined, forming a massive ring around the Earth. Sarah Jones, her precognitive abilities now spanning centuries, smiled as she watched from her garden in what was once New York. "It's time," she whispered. Back in the council chamber, the ground began to tremble. But there was no fear, only anticipation. They had learned long ago to trust the Earth's movements. Leela Chen's eyes widened as she received a mental message from the planet itself. "Everyone," she announced, her voice filled with awe. "Earth has made a decision." The trembling increased, and suddenly, impossibly, the Earth began to move. Not just shaking, but rising. The entire planet, with its billions of inhabitants, was lifting off from its orbit. The ring of space stations lit up, forming a protective barrier around the ascending world. Stars streaked by as Earth accelerated to speeds that defied known physics. In the council chamber, now a bubble of calm in the midst of cosmic movement, Leela explained, "Earth is not just our home, it's our ship. A living starship, ready to carry us into the unknown." As the realization dawned on the assembled beings, a wave of emotions swept through the chamber. Fear, yes, but also excitement, hope, and a deep sense of purpose. Admiral Zorn, tears in his eyes, spoke for everyone. The Empire once warned us to stay away from Earth. Now, Earth itself leads us to our greatest adventure. The journey would be long, the challenges immense, but as Earth streaked across the galaxy, carrying with it the combined knowledge, wisdom, and spirit of 100 species, one thing was clear. The warning to stay away from Earth had not just been ignored. It had been transformed into an invitation to join Earth on an eternal journey of discovery, growth, and hope. As the blue planet-turned starship approached the edge of the great darkness, its surface glowed with the light of billions of souls united in purpose. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Earth, once a cosmic prison, then a university, had become a beacon of hope streaking across the stars. The greatest adventure in the history of the galaxy had just begun.